Thank you, host. Today is Sunday, December 27, 2020. The Dharma talk at 7:30 p.m. Start by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. The first time, the second time, and the third time. Now we're going to move on to taking the precept. The first precept is trying to abstain from taking life. The second precept is trying to abstain from taking what is not given. The third precept is trying to abstain from sexual practices. The fourth precept is trying to abstain from false speeches. The fifth precept is trying to abstain from taking intoxicants that can cause carelessness and forgetfulness. The sixth precept is trying to abstain from eating at the wrong times, mainly from noon until dawn the next day. The seventh precept is trying to abstain from dancing, singing, listening to music, watching show, wearing garlands, perfumes, ointments, etc. And the eighth precept is trying to abstain from staying or lying on high and luxurious beds or seats. That is the procedures for taking refuge as well as taking the precept. Before the Dharma talk, Sayagyi recite, Imaya Dhamma Nu Dhamma Bati Bati Ya Budang Bujemi. With this practice that conform with the Dhamma, I pay respect to the Buddha. Imaya Dhamma Nu Dhamma Pati Pati Ya Dhammang Bujemi. With this practice that conform with the Dhamma, I pay respect to the Dhamma. Imaya Dhamma Nu Dhamma Pati Pati Ya Sanghang Bujemi. With this practice that conform with the Dhamma, I pay respect to the Sangha. So today, Dhamma Talk Sayagyi answer a question of a yogi. I will read the question first before we go into the answer. Dear Bante, I would like to have an interview with you. My house is next to the highway. There's a lot of cars and motorcycles go back and forth. It's very noisy and it makes me very uncomfortable. So before bed, I decided to give it a try by taking sounds as the objects of meditation. When using sounds as the objects of meditations, I can see that there's many different kinds of sounds happening. There's a sound of the motorcycle, there's a sound of the horns, the sounds of the cars, etc. Each time there is a sound of the horns arising, I would pay attention and I would be mindful of it right away. And I would contemplate on it right away as soon as the sounds arise. And all of a sudden, the entire body feel very joyful and there this happiness arise in the body. And slowly, I fall into the sleep. The next day, when sounds arise and the mind catch on the sound right away, and sati mindfulness would notice listenings or hearing. And from that moment on, I do not feel uncomfortable or unpleasant when there's sounds anymore. As soon as there's sounds arise, and all I have to do is just note it or label hearing or listening, then I feel okay. Could you please guide me or give me an explanation how to restrain the five sense door? Thank you, Bante. So that is the question of the yogi. And the answer Sariji gave that I understood was, so here at Mahasatipatthana Meditation Center, our center is located right next to the Highway 27. So there's a lot of noise as well from the outside. The noise of the cars, the noise of the birds, the noise of human being talking, as well as the noise of the wind. So just like this yogi house is right next to the highway or right next to the main street. So therefore, there's a lot of noises that's going on. And when the yogi know how to use sounds as the objects of contemplations or the objects of meditation, that shows that the yogi already know how to contemplate. The yogi already know how to practice meditation. So when the sounds arise and the yogi would contemplate hearing, or listening. Sayagyi's raised a question. What do you think, what kind of contemplations is that? In the four foundations of mindfulness, we have contemplations of the body in the body, contemplations of the feelings in the feeling, contemplations of the mind in the mind, and contemplations of the dhammas in the dhamma. So now when there is sounds arise and a person notice this sounds or contemplates on this sound, what kind of contemplations is that? And that's the question that Sariji gave. And he said that yogi should know and yogi should be able to answer this question yourself. So when we practice vipassana meditation, when we follow the teachings of the Buddha, we trying to train our mind. We trying to practice sitting meditation so that we can train our mind to become tranquil, to become calm and peaceful in order for concentration to develop. And when concentrations is developed, panya, wisdom would arise. And for the yogi to be able to contemplate about hearing each time when the sounds arise, there must be two things at least. First of all is the right attention. The yogi know how to direct the mind to the hearing consciousness each time when the sounds arise. And secondly, the yogi have the right jhana, the intention that I want to note, I want to label, I want to be able to catch the object as soon as the objects arise. And that's why the yogi was be able to catch on the sound each time the sounds arise. And the yogi know how to contemplate hearings just as hearing. So yogi explained very clearly and in detail that before knowing how to contemplate or before practicing using the sounds as the objects of the meditation, these sounds was an obstacle for yogi. These sounds are very annoying, very unpleasant, and yogi feel very uncomfortable every time these sounds arise. But now when yogi know how to contemplate, when there is sati, mindfulness in the mind, and yogi contemplate each time the sounds arise, all these obstacles disappear. And on the other hand, yogi feel joyful, yogi feel pleasant feelings arise throughout the body. So these pleasant feelings or these joys arise in the yogi body because there is sati. First of all, because yogi have mindfulness, remind the mind, catch on the object the moment the objects arise or the moment the sounds arise. So therefore, the mind stay right there, knowing that what's going on in the body, what's going on in the mind. In this case, hearing, knowing that there's hearing consciousness arise. And because of their sati, mindfulness there, and because there's also concentration there, the yogi hit the target right the moment is arise. So therefore, these joys arise in the bodies of the yogi. And slowly the yogi know how to contemplate, and slowly the yogi let the body fall into the sleep. So this is a very good practice and a very good experience that the yogi described, and it shows that yogi already know how to contemplate. And another thing is the reason why the yogi was be able to fall asleep and then with this all these joys or pleasant feelings in the body, because even these joys or pleasant feelings arise in the body of the yogi was not attached to those feelings. The yogi was not attached to this pleasant feeling or this joy. The yogi just let go and relax. So therefore the body would be able to fall into a sleep. So the questions of the yogi that how do I constrain in the sixth sense door? So based on the yogi experience, Sariji say that yogi already know how to restrain in the ear or the hearing consciousness, because now whatever sounds, whatever noises, the yogi can only take it at the objects of the meditation. Yogi know how to contemplate. Satis is right there to catch on the object, hit the objects right at the target, and not having attachment to the object as well as any pleasant feeling. It just sounds comes and sound goes, one sounds after another, one hearing consciousness after another, one knowing hearing consciousness after another. So yogi already know how to restrain in this hearing consciousness or in the ear, and this is a very good. So now yogi want to know how to do with the rest of them. For the in this body we have the six sense door, from the eyes, the ear, the tongues, the body, the nose, and the mind. And these objects, the external objects of these six sense doors is the eyes is seeing or color, and then the ears is sounds or hearing, the nose is the smells or odor, the tongues is tasting, and then the body is touching, and the mind is activities of the mind. So Saichi told two stories about how to restrain the sixth sense door. Back in the Buddha time, there was 5 bhikkhus, and each bhikkhu he chose um, a, a separate or a different meditation object. So for one bhikkhu would choose the objects of the tongue, one bhikkhu would choose the objects of the ear, one bhikkhu would choose the objects of the eyes, one bhikkhu would choose the object of the body, and so on, in order to contemplate. And each of them only contemplate on one thing. One bhikkhu contemplated on hearing, one bhikkhu contemplated on tasting, one bhikkhu contemplated on seeing, one bhikkhu contemplated on smelling, so on and so forth. And after practicing for a while, they realized that it's so hard to restrain the sense door. It's so hard to restrain just only one object. And then when they sit together and they would argue with each other that restraint in the eyes is the hardest. And the one who restrained with the eyes, they say that restraining the eyes is the hardest. And then the one that restrained with the tongue would say that restraining the tongue is the hardest. And so on. The one that restrained with the ear would say that restraining the ear would be the hardest. And when they argue like this, there's no solution. So they decided to come and see the Buddha. And when these 5 bhikkhu came, pay respect to the Buddha and told their stories about their argument, and the Buddha say Desgata. So Sariji say that whatever the Buddha say, of course he did not know for sure, but then this is what recorded in the text. So he just say the Gata about these 5 bhikkhu and what the Buddha taught. So Chakuna samwaro sadhu, sadhu sotena samwaro, ganena samwaro sadhu, sadhu vichanya samwaro, kayena samwaro sadhu, sadhu vachaya samwaro, manasa wasaro sadhu, sadhu sappatha sammaro, sappatha samvutto bhikkhu, sabba dukkha bambuchati. And the translations of that gata is, restrain with the eyes is good. Good is restrain with the ear. Restrain with the nose is good. Good is restrain with the tongue. Restrain with the bodies is good. Good is restrain with the speech. Restrain with the heart is good. Good is restrained everywhere. Among everywhere restraint, it release from all suffering and stress. So, and then that is one story that Sariji told. Another story Sariji told was, there was a merchant named Baya, and one time he was crossing an ocean, crossing a sea, and all of a sudden his ship was sinking, and he was lucky enough to survive through the sinking ship. And by the time that he got to shore, he lost everything. He did not have anything with him. He didn't even have enough clothes to wear. And because of that, he would use the leaves to cover his body. And then after that, he had nothing to eat, so he would go beg for food. And when the way that he was begging for food, and he had nothing to wear. And back in the day, people was very fond of aesthetics practice. So many people saw him, seeing that he was so restrained, he had nothing on his body. He renounced the world. He even have no clothes on him, and he had to go beg for food. So they thought that he was an arahant. So they mistaken him as an arahant, and they pay respect to him as an arahant, and they worship him, and they donated to him just like an arahant. And because of that, these merchant Baya, he thought that, oh, maybe I was an arahant myself. And so because of this, just this wrong thinkings of you arise in his mind, his old friend, which is a deity, his friend from the past life, which is the deities in this present life, which came down and told him, oh, Baya, you not an arahant. And then upon hearing that, he was shocked, and he was like, okay, so if I'm not an arahant, and people already respected me like this, and venerated me like this, and worship me like this, imagine how could it be to be a real arahant. So he decided to ask all these devotees, okay, do you know any real arahants in this world that's still alive? And the devotees told him that in this city of Savatthi, there lives an arahant. His name is Gautama Buddha. And upon hearing that, he became extremely happy and pleasant. And for him, he could not wait to become a real arahant, because he think that just now I'm a fake arahant, or I'm not an arahant, and being respected like this. Imagine becoming a real arahant. So he traveled day and night nonstop to get to Savatthi city in order to meet the Buddha, in order to practice to become a real arahant. So by the time he arrived at the Jetavana monastery, the Buddha already left for alms round. And he asked the monks around, oh, could you please, I would like to see the Buddha. And the monk told him that, oh, the Lord Buddha already went into the cities for alms round. Please wait here. After alms round, the Buddha will return to the monastery, and then you will be able to see him. But he was like, no, I want to see the Buddha now. I want to see him now. I want to learn with him now. Could you please show me the way? So the monk showed him the way, and he followed the path into the city. And then while the Buddha was going for alms round, Baya came and paid respect to the Buddha and asked the Buddha, oh, dear Lord Buddha, could you please teach me the Dharma? I would like to learn the Dharma. I would like to practice the Dharma so that I can become an arahant. And the Buddha was saying that, oh, I am going for alms round right now. Please go to the monasteries and wait there. When I finish alms round, I will come back and I will teach you the Dharma. And he refused. First of all, he said that, no, dear Lord Buddha, I want to learn the Dharma now, because if I go back and wait, what if I die on the way back? And if I don't die, what about you? What if you pass away while going for the alms round, and I will lose my chance to practice the Dharma in order to become an arahant? And upon saying that, the Buddha realized that his paramis, his perfections are about to be fulfilled, and he just needs to practice in order to become enlightened, and that his lifespan is only within today. So therefore, the Buddha taught him, Baya, now all you have to do is just live in the present moment. When there's seeing consciousness arise, you know there is seeing consciousness. There is hearing consciousness arise, you know there is hearing consciousness. There is smelling consciousness arise, you know there is smelling consciousness. And whatever there's objects or whatever that's arising through the sixth sense, or you just notice it and live in that moment. Live with the seeing, live with the hearing, live with the tasting, live with the smelling at the present moment. And that was the only instruction that the Buddha gave him. After that, the Buddha continues to go for alms round, and Baya started to practice meditation. So after one setting or one sitting of practicing vipassana meditations, according to the teachings of the Buddha, Baya became enlightened and he became an arahant. After Baya became an arahant, he wanted to ordain ordained into the sasana to the disciple of this of the Buddha. So he realized that, oh, now that I already became an arahant, I want to become a monk to ordain into the sasana of the Buddha. So he went and looked for robes in order to ordain. And on the way, when he was looking for robe, there is this female cow just have a calf, just have a baby calf. And when he was looking around, the baby, I'm sorry, the mother cow were protecting the calf, her baby. So she stabbed him with her horns, and then Beya passed away. So Sajis explained that, first of all, the reason Arahant Beya passed away like that was because his karma from the past life, he had to, whatever, even though that he's already an Arahant, he eradicated all these defilements in the mind, which is delusions, ignorance, anger, hatred, and greed. But he still have to pay back his past karma. So because of that, he passed away when the mother cow stabbed him with her horns. And another point that Sariji say that the reason why this Baya Arahant did not have any robes and he have to go look for robe, because maybe in his past life his lack of dana, donations of clothes or donation of robes to the Sangha or to the Buddha. And Saji say that nowadays many people would like to have donate Kathina robes offering or donate robe during the Kathina time, is because when a person donate robes during the Kathina ceremony or donate robe to the Sangha, that person have this privileges or have this privilege or have this karma, that when a future Buddha is here, and when this person meet this future Buddha in the future, and the Buddha, all the Buddha have, and if this person would like to ordain into the sasana of that Buddha, and all the Buddha have to say is ehi bhikkhu, and that person would be able to becomes monks right away, and their clothes would change into robes, and their hair would just fall down right away. So back into the Buddha time, the Gautama Buddha time, there was 1,250 ehi bhikkhus. So these ehi bhikkhus are the monks who the Buddha only say ehi bhikkhu, which means come here monks or come here bhikkhu, and all of a sudden their hair and their facial hair, their beard, whatever that is, just drop down, and then their clothes change into robe. And because of that, in the past life, they have already offered robes to the Buddha, to the Sangha, or they also offer a Kathina robe ceremony. So that is a side note that Sarachis explained in terms of the stories of Baya Arahant. And in terms of the Dharma, so just like this instructions of the Buddha with Tubaya, all you have to do is just pay attention whatever arises in the sixth sense door. If there is a seeing consciousness arise, you contemplate. Mindfulness is there to remind the mind to contemplate that seeing. When there's hearing consciousness arise, then the mind would be right there and catching the objects and contemplate, hearing. Same thing with touching, tasting, thinking, or whatever that's going on in the bodies and mind at the present moment, or whatever object that go through the sixth sense door at the present moment. Just like the yogi described, it showed that the yogi already know how to contemplate through the ear door. So when sounds arise, the yogi right away direct the mind, and knowing that there is hearing consciousness arise, and the yogi contemplates or know hearing. So if the yogi know to do that with the ear, all the yogi have to do is apply that with the eyes, with the tongues, with the nose, with the body, and with the mind door. When the yogi know how to apply that, then everything is just contemplating, or whatever the mind, when the objects come through the mind, then the yogi would know there is the object come through the mind, or if it's a thinking, or if it's wondering, or is concentrating, or is it noting. And then when the object come through the eyes, there would be seeing. And then when the object come through the nose, there would be smelling. There's the object come through the ear, there would be hearing. So just like that, the yogi just apply from what the yogi already know, from the ear door to the eyes door, to the body door, to the nose door, to the tongue's doors, and to the mind door. And when the yogi know how to live like that, let the mind just live with the objects, let the mind stay at the present moment, live within the bodies and mind through the sixth sense door. That is the way to contemplate. And when contemplating like that, when living like that, all this ignorance, all these attachment, all these lamentations or sorrow or greed or anger cannot arise in the minds of the yogi, because as soon as the objects arise, the yogi noted that satis is there. Satis is the gatekeeper. Whatever that go through that door, sati notice it right away. So in the mundane world, people live without sati. People do not know how to have mindfulness, do not know how to contemplate. So when you see something, then you'll be like, oh, this is the flower, this is the cup, I like it, I don't like it, what I'm going to do with it, what I'm not going to do with it. So the mind, as soon as we see something, as soon as we hear something, when you hear something, you'll be like, oh, this is the sound of this is the sound of that, I do not like it, or I like it. Or when you taste something, this is the taste of this is the taste of that, I like it, I do not like it. Just like that, the minds always fluctuate between liking and not liking, either attachment or aversion, either liking or disliking. So there is no mindfulness, and there's always this attachment in the mind. So therefore, the mind cannot there is no just symbol noting. So when the yogi know how to contemplate this way, whatever arises in the eyes, seeing it just as seeing, and that's it. Seeing comes and passes away. And when there is hearing, hearing comes and hearing passes away. And then there's another object of tasting. Tasting, smelling comes and passes away. And just like that, there is no attachment, and it is just it is. And when yogi practices like that, soon enough, inside wisdom will arise, and yogi will be able to detach, and you will realize that there is no I, there is no self, there is nothing to crave for, because everything is come and pass away. And one moment the mind live with the hearing, next moment the mind live with the seeing, the next moment live with the tasting, and it just moving the mind, just knowing the objects that come through the sixth sense door. And that is the functions of the mind. There is no I, there is no self. And that way yogi would come to the ultimate liberation from all these attachments and craving. And lastly, Sayadaw talks about Thongpulu Sayadaw. And when Thongpulu Sayadaw came to the US, and many people came and pay respect to him, take refuge with him, as well as learn how to practice with him. And he realized that here in the Western world, especially in the US, everybody is so busy. They have no time to practice. They have no time to sit. They have no time to walk. They have to do many things at the same time. And so Sayadaw just taught them that just take 5 minutes. All you have to do is 5 minutes a day at least, or 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, 5 minutes in the evening. All you have to do is just knowing. When there is seeing, you know there is seeing. If you are walking, you know that you're walking. If you are doing something, you know that you are doing something. And you hearing, you know it is hearing something. And Sayadaw, Thongpulu Sayadaw only asked the yogi just to take 5 minutes trying to direct the mind back into the body, and whatever comes through the sixth sense door of the body, all you have to do is just notice it and know that that is the things that are going on right now. And when we do like that, when we just directing our mind back into the body, be very aware, alert, and mindful of whatever objects come through the sixth sense door, we are be able to eradicate all this defilement that's already existed. We are here today because of our past karma. Without our past karma, we would not be here today. And because of this, so therefore we're trying to eradicate all these past karma, or the consequences, the result of the past karma into this body that have us. And then by this way, when we have sati, mindfulness, keeping the door, is staying at the gate as a gatekeeper. Make sure whenever objects come through the sixth sense door, we notice it, we mindful at it. That's when we prevent all the new karmas to arrive. Because when we see something and you like it or you don't like it, then you're creating all this new karma to create the next existing life. So when there's sati there, we not only we are trying to prevent the new karmas to arrive, but we also trying to stop all the past karma to arise as well. So that's what we have for today translations. And then Sayachis encourage yogi to practice meditation for 5 minutes. And when observing risings, falling of the abdomen, and the mind does not stay here all the time. The mind is, one moment is the risings, falling abdomen. Another moment there is something's happening. All you have to do is notice it. So when, and then after noticing, hearing, thinking, or touching, then you're trying to bring the mind back to the risings, falling or abdomen. When the mind wander, you notice there's wandering, and then you bring back to the risings and falling of the abdomen. And Sayachis encourage yogi to do that. At the end of Dhamma talk, Sayachis recite the Gatha, and I will do the same. Sabbe sankara anicchati yada banyaya passati atta nibindati dukke esa maggo visuddhiya. All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is the path to purification. Sabbe sankara dukkati yadda banyaya passati atta nibindati dukke esa maggo visuddhiya. All conditioned things are unsatisfactory. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is the path to purification. Sabbe dhamma anattati yadda banyaya passati atta nibindati dukke esa maggo visuddhiya. All things are not self. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is the path to purification. That's all I have for today's summary of the translation. Thank you so much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I wish everybody a wonderful night. Good night. Bye bye.
Dạ, chúng con thành kính tri ân sư cô đã giúp cho phần thông dịch hôm nay. Good night sư cô.
Thank you, host. Good night. Bye.